All right. So in order to stay in business, everyone has to sell something, right? Problem is most people hate sales, or they don't have a process in order to increase conversion rates and increase sales. Today, I'm going to give you a simple system on how to increase sales without selling, without feeling slimy and icky, and actually increasing your conversion rate. The customer as a hero is a simple system, 5-part system that anyone can use to increase sales. Now, every business operates like an airplane. Just like there are 6 critical parts of a plane, cockpit is your leadership. Right engine is marketing. Left engine is sales. The wings represent your products and services. The body is your overhead and operations. And the fuel tanks are your cash flow. Today we are going to spend our time on the left engine, the sales engine. That's going to give your business thrust and keep it aloft. So without sales, your business will crash. Again, every business has to sell something in order to stay in business. Today, I'm going to give you a simple tool. You'll have online access to it completely free. It's a 5-part sales script that you can use to invite customers into a story so that you sell more products and close more sales. Now, typically, there's 2 types of people. Who here loves selling and thinks, boy, howdy, the more people that get my stuff, the better the world is going to be? Fantastic. Lord bless you. This system will work for you. Who thinks sales is a dirty word? I need to take a shower and it makes me feel slimy and just the thought of it. Okay? Lord bless you, and there's nothing wrong with that because that means that you have a conscience and you want to make sure that you're adding value to people. This system will work for you too. So it doesn't matter what your opinion on sales is, as long as you understand and believe in your product. Every business starts for the same reason. It's to help people live a better life. So today, in the next probably 30 to 35 minutes, I'm going to give you this 5-part system, and then hopefully you guys are going to want to play with the system, and we'll actually throw some things up on the screen and I'll show you exactly how easy it is. So we're going to learn the 5-part sales script process. You're going to get access to the free tool, and then you can start using it immediately to start increasing sales. And again, when you position the customer as the hero, that's the primary lesson in all of this. And again, it's the sales framework for people who hate selling, but it works for people who love it too. The very first part, start with a problem. Anyone know what problem they solve for customers? Alabama Theater, what problem do you solve?
We want people to feel happy and bring joy to their life when they come see our show.
Date nights should be exciting.
So boredom.
Yeah, so you solve the problem of boredom or solve the problem of a lousy experience. What do you do? What problem do you solve for?
Cybersecurity and ransomware.
So privacy, digital hacking. I mean, there are just so many things that can go so terribly wrong. Identity theft, I know that's your lane too, but in the general, data breach can really destroy productivity for weeks, months, even longer, plus your digital reputation. Sorry, I didn't mean to let your secret out of the bag, but what problem do you solve for people? What problem do you solve for people?
Exactly similar. Exactly similar to that. We focus more on the individual than we do the corporation.
Protecting your personal information, your personal privacy. Carolina, was that?
I'm a sauce company, so I provide more flavorful sauces and better sauce coverage over food.
Boring foods are never fun. Backyard barbecues should be memorable and taste great, not just ordinary grilled hot dogs. What about you?
I guess I can say finances for a financial institution.
Okay, specifically like,
Bank.
okay, banking. So protecting your assets for long-term future. Understanding money can be confusing. Starting with a problem. Why do we want to start with a problem?
Solve it.
So
Well,
you
it
get
helps them recognize what they need.
That's exactly right. It gets the right person to raise their hand and walk towards you. So by identifying the problem, you automatically identify who it is that you're going to help. The other thing that this automatically does is it puts you as the guide to their hero journey. What's the traditional answer to a question? What do you do? I am a chiropractor. Where's the follow-up question? Where did you go to chiropractor school? How did you get into? It's all about me as the chiropractor. So traditional answer to another question. What do you do? I am an in-home chef. Where did you go to culinary school? What do you like to cook? Have you ever cooked for anybody famous? All of those things are all directed back to me as the speaker. So I'm the primary focus of that. That's the business as the hero. When we simply twist that, and you can do it in a bunch of different variations, but you'll actually get the right people to raise their hands and walk towards you. What do you do? Many middle-aged dads just can't keep up with their kids anymore because they suffer from low back pain. At our chiropractor, sorry, I don't want to get into the next one, so that's the next step. So automatically, what has happened there? Where's the follow-up question?
How do you help?
So my husband is, even if it's not my problem, he's a middle-aged man that can't keep up with his kids. Do you help? If it's somebody outside of that. Oh, my dad has back pain. Do you work with older people? Automatically, they're entering that problem in their brain because our brain only has one function. What is that function? The primary function of the human brain.
Take care of us.
It's to make sure we wake up tomorrow morning.
Process.
How do we do that? We store information based on problems that we can solve. Even if we don't have that problem at the time, that's how we store information. We want to say that we store information by, I met Brandyn. He works for Clear Message. That's not how we store information. So I just offered you the possibility to increase your sales in whatever business that you are, no matter what your opinion of sales process is. That's why we start with the problem so that we identify the right people and get them to raise their hand. Now, you can use this system in all of your current marketing, all of your current communication, because every communication should be going through this, and you'll see what is that color that we've highlighted the problem in. Red. We start with the problem. So right now, any marketing material, any communication material you have, any of your Facebook posts, you should go through and just take a highlighter. So print it out on a piece of paper, take a highlighter, put it on your Google Docs and do your, anywhere you talk about the problem, put it in red. And I'll give you a pretty good guess. If I had a nickel in my pocket, I'd bet that whole nickel that most people here would have maybe this much red on an entire piece, and probably not even that much. Where do we tend to start when we want to enter into the sales process?
You go on features of the product.
Features of the product. When you walk onto a car lot, what do you see? You see a window sticker, right? And what's it got? It's got all the features. It's got the 2.2 liter 4-cylinder. It's got the leather seats. So if that's where all of the features are, why does the next part of your car lot experience happen? Because what's the very next part as soon as you set foot onto that car lot?
Salesman.
3 salesmen start to race towards you, right? So if you've got the feature list stuck on the window, why do they need to come over and talk to you?
They want more money.
Well, they do, but they need to explain how those features turn into benefits. Now, features and benefits sales is pretty traditional. That's where most people get, and again, so what does the salesman do? He says, oh, that 2.2 liter inline 4-cylinder, whatever I just said, gets great gas mileage. That's the benefit for that feature. The leather seats means that it doesn't matter what the kids spill on it, you can wipe it right up, it won't stain. That's the benefit of that feature. And that's where most sales processes happen, is in the features and the benefits. But no matter how great your widget is, the dirty little secret is people do not buy widgets. We don't buy features and benefits. What do we buy?
Problem solving.
Solutions to problems. So most people's cars, or most people are worried about the price of gas at the pump. That's why we want a fuel-efficient car, so that we get more mileage for our dollar. That's the solution to the problem. So we start with the problem, and then you may guess the second part of that is position your product or service as the solution to that problem. Now, there are 6 great words. This is an expanded version of a 3-step process that I use almost universally. It's problem, solution, life after. So that's the basis of this. But there are other industries that use that same formula. But almost never do we talk about the solution. Anyone ever seen a Disney movie? 1 or 2 maybe? You can tell the parents in the room. What do the 6 words that Disney use to sell the process? Once upon a time, that's a problem. Until happily ever after, right? That's the end result. They never say, sit through 88 minutes to figure out how the orphan becomes a princess. That's why we only touch on the Alabama Theater gives you an amazing experience every time. We don't go into, this is the name of the first singer, this is how long the intermission is, this is the price of the pop. We just say, we've got a solution to your problem. So the solution piece is the second part. Now, I'll tell you a little bit later why we use purple to color that. But my guess is if you take that same printout, that same Google Doc, and you were to get your next color highlighter out, you would probably paint most of your page in purple, because that's traditionally where sales happens. That's the features, that's the benefits. Purple, 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 purple. That's all we talk about. But we don't give people reasons to interact with that information because we haven't identified the problem that we're solving for them yet. So we haven't invited them and made it relevant to them. So starting with the problem gets us into how to position your product as the solution. So again, let's go back to a couple of examples. What do you do? I am a chiropractor. My practice has been around for 8 years. We have a great staff. We offer TENS units. We have spinal alignment machines. We help spinal stenosis. Is anyone engaged yet? Is anyone signing up? So again, let's go back to what do you do? You know how most middle-aged dads struggle to keep up with their kids because all too often they suffer from low back pain. Most of them don't realize in as few as 3 or 4 chiropractic appointments, they could be pain-free and keeping up with their kids. Now what have I done? I've just told you that 3 or 4, well, I did a couple of advanced things there, sorry. But offered chiropractic visits, often just 3 or 4 of them, as a solution to your problem. Position your product and solution. Now you can be a little bit more basic than that because I actually did a paradigm shift and an overcome objection all in the same thing. That's 202 class. You'll have to come back next month. But positioning that solution. So I am an in-home chef. Oh, where did you go to culinary school? What do you like to cook? Have you cooked for anyone famous? What do you do? You know how moms everywhere really wish their kids would eat healthy, but there's never enough time to cook. Dinner Done Right provides in-home meal service that the whole family loves. So now what's the follow-up question? I just saw Adam say, that's not bad. What's the follow-up question? How do I get on your schedule? How do you figure out, how do you get kids to eat healthy? It's about how I can engage with that product or that service. So again, positioning your product and solution as or product and service as the solution, got two S words mixed up, as the solution, that is how people start to walk into your story. Now, what's next? Banking. Banking seems to me, because I'm not a numbers person, seems to be pretty complicated, right? Anyone else feel like they're IT seems like it's probably pretty complicated. So business owners think that just because they have a cloud account that they're secured. Oftentimes they don't realize that that makes them more vulnerable to hackers. You know, again, just simple IT solutions can protect your information and your customers. Okay, so what do we need next for complicated things? And actually it works in any industry, but what do we want to do to overcome people's roadblocks?
Ask them what they are.
What's that?
Ask them what they are.
Okay, well, that too, but giving them a plan, simplifying the process, because the number one stumbling block, again, let's go back to the car lot. We had a list of the features. Sales guy ran over and explained all those features and how they're going to be great with me. Who's ever spent 4 hours on a car lot trying to give them money so that they can just go home? So there's no process there. Let you talk to the sales manager. Let me talk to the finance guy. Let me talk about price. CarMax is the perfect example of the disruption for traditional car buying experience. And if you walk into a CarMax, I've never been to this one, but I know specifically because they've gone through this process. They have a 3-step buying process listed on the wall of most of their dealerships. I need to go over there and check and see. But give them a simple plan. Now, I'm going to give you a very, very simple example before I go into a more complicated one. Does anyone eat Pop-Tarts? Has anyone seen Pop-Tarts? Okay, I don't eat them, but they are in my pantry. So they do. And 17-year-olds eat them by the grocery cart load. Yeah. Won't tell you how I know that. But Pop-Tarts, if you look at a box of Pop-Tarts, it says, open the Pop-Tarts, toast the Pop-Tarts, eat the Pop-Tarts. There's literally a 3-step plan on the side of a box of Pop-Tarts. What is that telling the customer? You don't have to burn calories in order to figure out how to use this product. We have taken all of the decision-making process out of your hands. This is it. That's all you need to do. By giving somebody a simple 3-step plan, and again, the whole name of this is the customer is the hero. So the customer is on a journey. They are the hero. They get to a raging river. And you've told them that you can help them get across the river. This 3-step plan is going to build the bridge for them. Whether it's step on this rock, step on that rock, step on the other rock, or go to the foot of the bridge, walk across, get your result. Giving a simple 3-step plan can make even a complicated service very simple. And obviously with the Pop-Tart example, it can make something as easy as breakfast seem even easier. So a 3-step plan, what does that look like? Does anyone have an easy example or something that they can think of? Again, in CarMax, don't spend all day on the car lot with our no price haggling, our simple finance offer, drive away in less than 60 minutes, whatever that is. That tells people this is a simple process. With banking, it can be, an on-ramp bridge. It can be a 3-step plan to start the process. Most people are confused by money. Meet with a financial advisor. Get the exact account that you need for your specific situation and know that your money is going to be protected. For food items,
Do you have recipe limit? I just supply recipes. Is that a plan?
well, so
Buy the chicken
I was going to say, so identify pick your meat. Pick your food items, whether it's meat, vegetables, So identify your food, select your level of spiciness, and marinate for 30 minutes before you grill. And again, that's kind of an on-ramp plan. So that's all before you actually do it. Choose from the top 10 spices, grill a better, invite your friends or grill everything perfectly and have a barbecue that the neighbors talk about for years. That's an arch. So some plans actually start after you use your product. Think of a wedding day hairdresser. Get a beautiful wedding day updo. Be the center of attention for the entire day and have pictures that you can't wait to show for generations. That starts with the actual application of the product. So there are many different ways, but just taking the guesswork out of it for customers, giving a simple plan.
That's Zig Ziglar's old puppy dog clothes.
What's that?
Puppy dog clothes.
I don't know that one.
Do you know who Zig Ziglar?
Oh yeah, absolutely, but I don't know that.
So Zig Ziglar called it one of his myriad of clothes is puppy dog clothes. So you take the puppy dog home, and you fall in love with the puppy dog, and you can't let it go. Well, come on, I'm gonna come back in 3 days and pick up the puppy dog. Puppy, you're not taking this.
Exactly.
Oh, the puppy dog's $300. Thank you very much. You're more than likely to pay for that. We did that in water filtration cells.
Yeah.
I'm not going back and drinking that nasty water. But what I can do to keep it.
Yeah, there you go. So a simple plan will help people execute because, and again, the more complex your problem is, go back to a classic, what do you do question. And I literally have had people in this room start their answer to that question this way. It's really complicated. Well, I do a lot of different things. I've heard both of those in this room. What does that tell you, whoever asked you the question?
It's not going to be an easy.
It automatically gives them an excuse to check out.
Yeah.
Oh, might be a great person, but I'm going to spend the next 60 seconds admiring your shoes or your tie or, because what you're saying next, I'm not going to understand. How do I know I'm not going to understand? You just told me it was complicated, or I do lots of different things. So it's going to be beyond my comprehension. Now, that same operation is, what do you do? Moms everywhere wish they could get their kids to eat healthy food. Ooh, I'm not a mom, but I'm married to one. So,
Would it be true to say that the plan is not the process?
it can be, or it may not be. So either way is okay. Again, Pop-Tarts, as an example. We all know how to make Pop-Tarts. This is just an encouragement to say, you don't have to think about it. Think of an even more complicated thing as far as finances go. Financial needs change throughout life depending upon your situation. Having a TD bank account means that you get regular visits from a financial advisor to make sure that to account for any family changes so that you're always getting exactly what you need. That's still 3 steps, but we haven't actually talked about anything that we're doing. We're just saying we're meeting with you, we're addressing any changes and making sure you're still protected. That's taking the decision-making process, what might be a really, really complicated back end and very, very tailored, but it's easy for me to understand what's going to happen. So, how do we actually get them? We just showed them, we built them a bridge. How do we get them to walk across it? We have to tell them that something bad can happen or something good will happen. If nothing bad will happen, why on earth would they buy your stuff? If it doesn't matter where they go to dinner and what show they see, why would they buy your stuff? If it doesn't matter that something terrible...
There's 2 motivations for making a purchase. One is fear of loss and desire for gain.
Absolutely. So, and what do you need to do? You need to paint both of those pictures. So in the story process, your hero has a want, but they encounter a problem until they meet the guide who gives them a plan so that they achieve success and avoid failure. If we don't tell them what failure looks like, there's no reason for them to seek success. So we need to paint the stakes in both good and bad, so positive and negative. And it doesn't matter what order you put them in. In the example here, it comes in yellow first, which is the negative stakes, and blue then becomes the positive stakes. So again, as you've got, I didn't talk about the color. Brown doesn't really matter. There's nothing significant about the plan. Just making sure that you can simply explain what the process is. Now, yellow. What is yellow? That is that continued caution light. You're going to continue to suffer from this problem. Again, I told you the simplified version of this that I use all the time is the PSA framework, problem, solution, life after. So in blue, that is the positive thing. That is what life is going to look like after you no longer suffer from this problem. And remember what the solution, position your product as a solution, what that color was? It was purple, right? So if you take red as the problem, blue as the positive outcome, you end up with a purple. So that's just kind of how that works out. But here's another 202 advanced tip. You can never have too much positive outcome. If you've got the recipe of sales, because all baking has 4 ingredients, right? It's got flour, it's got sugar, butter, and eggs. So any of that, if you change the amount of sugar versus flour, you go from cookies to brownies. If you change the number of eggs, you go from cupcakes to scones. I don't know, I'm not a baker. But none of it tastes right unless you throw in a pinch of what?
Salt.
You got to have just that pinch of salt. Now, what happens if you switch sugar for salt? You ruin the whole thing, right? You can go too heavy on negative stakes, but you have to make sure that they're reminded that something bad can happen. So paint the stakes, and that's the outcome. That's
Maybe not, you can never use too much sugar
sure, yeah.
in
So
that equation,
yeah,
but make sure there's a little salt.
make sure there's that pinch of salt. You've got to remind them. Again, if nothing bad can happen, why would they buy the product? Why would they need? And again, remind them that they're still going to suffer from that problem that they already have. All sales is getting them to the point where they no longer have to suffer from the problem that they've already self-identified. And that was when they raised their hand and stepped towards you. And they're going to remember that even if it's not their problem. I'm doing okay on time. So really quickly, I'm not a 78-year-old woman who lives alone, but my mother-in-law is. So I actually had somebody tell me once that they got into landscaping because the thought of their mom mowing her own yard was terrifying. I was like, man, run with that, and you're going to get every over 55 community in the Grand Strand. And whether I have that or not, somebody I know and love could suffer from that problem. So, but paint the stakes. What positive outcome is achievable, and what negative outcome is going to be avoided. This is happily ever after. So we're done, right? The great part about this is all of these work independently. If you only execute on one of these steps, your sales will increase. If you just become remembered for the problem that you solve, your sales will go up. If you only tell people that if they have this problem and you have a solution for it, your sales will go up. If you don't do either of those things and you just say, in order to buy my product, do 1, 2, 3. There's a magic in the number 3. Does anyone know what it is? And it's a double-edged sword as well. But 3 is the most easily remembered sequence in the human brain. 4 will work, but it falls off slightly. And 5 steps, you might as well not have the process because the memorization goes off the cliff. But the 3-step process is magic. Don't know why, but it's been proven time and time again by people smarter than me. So, told you this was a 5-step plan, right? So are we done?
I thought 3 was the magic number.
Well, 3 is, but this is just an expansion on my 3-step plan.
Sorry, just want to let you know I was listening.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. So are we done? We've just said, identify your problem, get your solution, give them a plan, and make sure they're reminded of what can be won or lost. What do we need to do? They're still standing on the edge of the river. We've already built the bridge for them. Tell them to walk across the bridge. Call them to action. And it's really that simple. And I will tell you, it is astounding the number of times we don't ask people, click the button, buy now. Pick up the phone, schedule an appointment. What do you want them to do? And really, when I teach this process, I start here. Because you need to determine what you want your customer to do before you start communicating with them at all. And you need to have one function. So this is the double-edged sword of the magic of 3. So,
Is that statement you made about, explaining to the customer what you're going to do, is that the same philosophy as when you make a speech or presentation? To explain what you're going to do, then do it, and then go back and explain what you did?
yes, absolutely. And we're going to see that exact process because I'm actually going to show you exactly how I did all of this in just a bit. But yes, 100%. But call the customer to action. Tell them what you... So first of all, you need to decide what you want to do. That doesn't mean that you can only have one simple function, although if you look at Amazon, what's their only function? Click the big yellow button, right? But we know that we have a phone in our office. We know that people email us. We know that we've got a Facebook page and there are direct messages on Instagram. However, if you say, call me or email me or send me a direct message or, send smoke signals, what have I just done? The magic of 3 is 1 is a single option. 2 is binary, yes, no. 3 becomes infinite. So as soon as I tell you to call me or email me or direct message me, I've just given the customer infinite number of possibilities. What do they then choose? Because they're confused. They don't know what to do. So determine what you want them to do. And it can be different for each communication. So if you're on social media posts and you want them to give you a direct message, only tell them to give you a direct message. If you only schedule appointments by phone, if you're a physician's office or if that's the only way to get on your calendar, then tell them to call the number. But set that first for whatever, set your destination for what you want them and then mirror it to how they interact with it. So call them to action. Tell them what to do. And again, anyone notice the color of this particular stage?
Money.
There you go. There is a reason that we paint the call to action green. Again, any one of these 5 steps on its own will increase sales. This one most significantly and specifically. And it's amazing how often we don't tell people, make the buy now, click the button, call now, schedule your appointment. So let's go back to the chiropractor. Middle-aged guys suffer from back pain and they can't even keep up with their kids anymore. But simple chiropractic treatments can eliminate most back pain really in a couple of weeks. See you later.
What are they gonna do with that?
Yeah, so that's what we do all the time. You have a problem. I can solve it. Good luck with that. Call to schedule an appointment so that you can enjoy your kids' youth. Tell them what can be won, what can be lost, and how to do it. So call. That one thing right there will get you to it. So right now, everyone can pick up their phone, scan that QR code, and they're going to get 7 days free access to the Business Made Simple, the entire platform. On that platform is included the online sales script, which I just walked you through, and I'm doing really good on time, so we're going to have some time to play with it. That tool right there, and I'm going to show you exactly how it works, because it's each one of those sections. You can fill it out, and I'll even, to Mike's point, I'm going to show you my secret sauce and how I created this whole presentation and why it's called the 10-minute sales presentation, because I put a timer on my thing just to show you how quickly that this can be done. It took me a lot longer to talk about it than it did to actually set it up. Scan the QR code, get instant access, start selling more. Does that sound vaguely familiar to anyone? If I printed it out, that's going to be the brown section. That's the 3-step plan. These things work amazingly well. I will say that I'm glad that a couple of people pulled their phones out and scanned it. But again, in addition, even better, in addition to just the online sales script, you're going to get 7 days. The online sales script is free once you set that account up forever, but you're going to get 7 days access to the Business Made Simple platform. And it's got courses that correspond with all 6 critical areas. This is just one of the courses that we talk about in sales, but leadership, marketing, sales, products and services, overhead, and finance all are included in that Business Made Simple platform. So the customer is the hero. Taking that simple twist, instead of I am A and this is the problem, I have a solution for you. It's really simple to get so that you don't have to suffer from your problem, and instead you're going to have a better life. Do this one thing now. That simple 5-part framework is going to stop telling your story, and it's going to invite customers into a story. Very, very simple. Scan the QR, get access, sell more.
Is this, there's some people online wanting to know,
Oh.
the barcode, is it that app.businessmadesimple, or is there like
That barcode there, if they scan that, or they can go to myclearmessage.com and get, it's on there somewhere. Oh, shucks.
Yeah, that web address does work.
Yeah, okay.
It would be app.business.
Yeah. So, it won't be my code though, but that's all right. So, that's all right. It's not a big deal. It's great stuff. Okay. All right, so anyone have any questions? I'm going to come back and show Mike the magic sauce in just a second. But again, when you have clarity in all parts of your business, it grows amazingly well. So let me show you. So this should look vaguely familiar, right? We started with a problem. We positioned it as a solution, gave them a plan, painted the stakes, both negative and positive, and called them to action. So filling out each one of these things, and again, if you scan that barcode, it's exactly this system that you'll get to. And once you fill all that stuff out, you'll get a page. It says, most people think sales is a dirty word, and selling makes them feel slimy and manipulative. The simple 5-part sales script framework allows you to close more sales and have people asking to buy your product. It only takes a minute to get started. Scan the QR, get access to the online course and sales script tool, position your product as a solution to a problem, and close more sales. Only talking about features and benefits will close some sales, but you lose many potential customers. And not only will you have to work harder, people who need your help will continue to suffer from the problem that you solve. When you're known for the problem you solve, customers raise their hand and walk towards you, ready to buy, so you never have to chase a sale again. Scan the QR and start selling more today. While not everyone's ready to spend $1,000 a month on coaching, anyone who sells can use the Customer is the Hero framework, and it's only $275 for 12-month access. Better yet, it includes the entire Business Made Simple University platform. And you can get a free 7-day trial to the entire platform for all 6 critical areas. Scan the QR, get free access, start selling more. And again, it's that easy to create. So what do you think I did last night in about 10 minutes? I filled out, actually I didn't do it last night, but I filled out the answers to these questions. Did you see or hear some of those same things as we went through? So you can expand and contract this formula, but it's all the same pieces. It's really super simple. Now, any volunteers? Does anyone want to see how this can work for them?
I will.
Excellent. So what do we want to call this? What's your primary focus?
I help people with burnout.
All right.
Stress and anxiety, but mainly burnout.
Okay. So what is the problem? How do they get to burnout?
Lack of self-care.
Okay.
They put other people first. They become addicted to stress.
How's that sound?
They don't know how to say no. Yep.
Going too hard, too fast, too long, serving others leads to burnout. Here's another tip. Commas and the word "and" in your problem are not your friend. Solve a problem. Again, you can make as many of these as you want, and again, if you're dealing with multiple issues, that's also a great A/B test as well. But solve one problem. If you've got an overarching problem, that's best to start there and then divide out any individual products, but one at a time. So, what is your actual product? What is your service? How do you get them from one side of the river to the other? Is it coaching? Is it an online program? Is it...
So we have an online webinar,
Okay.
and then we have a book and like a step-by-step online course.
Okay. Let's see. So what do they actually...
Was that like the answer to question 5?
Let's see. Oh, this is not a touch screen. Well, the action piece is just going to be simply click to schedule or, yeah. Let's see.
What I usually say when people say, "What do you do?" is I help people get more joy out of their jobs.
Okay. Is it coaching primarily? Is it
Training.
training?
Group
Okay.
trainings.
We'll use that, even though it's more of the positive stakes. We'll use the same language twice. Repetition is the mother of sales. So that's, there's a reason that the little green lizard says the exact same thing every time you see him. More joy out of your job. What do they need to do? And again, one service or one system. Is there a website where they can get all three?
Yes.
Is there? Okay, so it might be go to abc.com, pick the, let's see.
So I would tell them to scan the QR code to sign up,
Yeah,
or they could.
I'm not a typerist. Now, what's going to happen if they don't go to your website and pick their plan?
Medical problems, decline in present for your family, friends, and colleagues. Less available. Medical crisis.
So that I'm actually going to do another two-stepper on the medical thing. Left unattended, can even cause health issues.
This one's not as straightforward as maybe a typical business.
Actually, it is. It's not one that I can rattle off really quickly.
Got it.
Can you mention some of the more specific medical symptoms? So that when somebody's recognizing that they're under this stress, that you've got hives, you've got something that they can identify
Yeah.
with, not specifically just medical, like, oh, okay, I feel okay, but they might be suffering from some, unrecognizable medical condition or something like that.
Yeah. And again, I'd have to. The other thing when you're dealing with medical things is you can't diagnose.
Right, I was
So,
gonna say, I
there-
shy away from that.
Yeah, so that's why I was being.
Heads up, but it's not.
Yeah.
Right, we don't want to.
Right.
Can she mention something like that, such as hypertension or?
No.
Unless there's identifiable, you don't want to. And again, same thing with money is you can't make certain claims. You can only say that meeting with our advisors are easy. Interacting with our system is easy because there's lots of different things for SEC regulations with money and HIPAA regulations with medical. So those are fields that typically take a little bit more nuance. But what are they going to gain? So again, this is the sugar.
More energy. Enhanced communication skills. better
What's their
relationships at work and
what's the shortest interaction though? The book or the online course or
home. I'd say the webinars. Yeah, webinars. 45 minutes.
I'm just gonna say. Give a little overcome objection. Again, that's all a little bit of nuanced stuff, and
Again,
typically
I would
the
say
stuff.
without taxing yourself or without, without. But yeah, makes sense.
I don't know. I like to break in the bank better, but what do they do? So, and again, this can either be the first step of your plan. Oftentimes, it's just a reiteration, especially if you have a single access point. Call now to schedule, but
Sign up, register for the webinar.
that's a good one. Yep. She just put a little 103 on there. Give them a deadline. Not register now or register for the webinar. Register for the webinar today. So. And again, this is just really raw, but you can see how quickly that was. I think we did that in about 4.5, 5 minutes. you're going to get something like this. Obviously, you'd go back and edit for syntax. If there's a specific part that you wanted to expand on or contract on, you could do that pretty simply. But going too hard for too long, serving others, leads to burnout. Our group training helps you get more joy out of your job. And again, instead of hour, you might want to put the company name in there or whatever. Reducing your stress is simple. Scan the QR code or go to abc.com. Pick your program. Again, if you've got more than one option that's still all serving one particular program, get the book, register for the webinar, get the online course, whatever. Pick your program. Get more joy from your job. Again, you've given them the option. You're deferring. Again, that's a different level of psychology. When you defer to them, telling them that they're still in control, but you still have the option to solve their problem. Built-up stress leads to strained relationships at work and at home. Left unattended could even lead to medical issues. You can get more energy while feeling more productive at work and loving at home without adding to financial distress. Register for the webinar today. So that's a pretty simple sales letter, sales email. I think if you were to send that to, a couple hundred people on your email list, you'd get some takers on that. If you worked at it for maybe an hour or so and really fine-tuned as far as who your target audience is, what the specific thing that you wanted them to do, or their specific targeted outcomes, worked a little bit more on the problems. Again, why are reviews so important? You get to hear what your customers say so that you can repeat it to new customers. But using all those things and spending a little bit of time with this tool can really be super effective. Any other questions on here? Any feedback, thoughts? Who's going to go home and print their website or print their email and start highlighting and see where they're talking about their problems? Who's going to actually experiment with some of this and see if they can't create an email, a sales email, an email sequence maybe?
I'd say I've been doing this without knowing I was doing this, in a way.
Absolutely. So many people actually do versions of this.
Mine was more long-winded. I need to fine-tune it.
And again, I mentioned you don't have to use all 5 parts. This is actually an application of a 7-part framework. We didn't talk about the guide section of the framework, and we didn't talk about the transformation part of it. But again, the 7-part story brand framework, and again, this goes back to Steven Spielberg, and before that it was Joseph Campbell, and before that it was William Shakespeare, and before that it was Aristotle and Plato, and before that it was Homer. The parts of story don't change, but you have a character with a want, but there's a problem keeping them from getting it until they meet a guide who gives them a plan, so that calls them to action so they can achieve success and avoid failure. Those 7 parts are every story, but you can use any one part of it and expand that. And again, a really easy example most people are at least vaguely familiar with is Luke Skywalker and Yoda. If you're wondering who the most powerful character in any movie is, press pause and see who is not sweating or bleeding. Luke Skywalker is the hero of the movie, but he struggles the entire time. Obi-Wan Kenobi sits back and watches it and says, might want to do that a little different. Use the Force, kid. Yoda just points and laughs, but it's Luke Skywalker. That's your customer. You are helping them win as the guide, helping them win their story. But again, so using any one of these parts individually will help, specifically the green one. Don't forget the green one. Put that call to action in there.
What is that 7-part story called again?
I call it's the story brand framework, and you'll see it if you got the entire Business Made Simple. The story brand messaging framework is that 7-part framework, and there's an entire course on there. If you do nothing else over the next 7 days on that free trial, first get your online sales script tool account, because that will be free forever. So sign up for that. Second, watch the story brand framework course. It's the best, probably 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's broken down into smaller chunks, but it is the best investment I've ever made. And I've been using the story brand framework for 7, almost 8 years now.
So is it mainly self-guided, the product that you're selling?
I actually,
Service, I guess.
that's the Business Made Simple framework is just one of the tools that I use. Again, I'm a business coach and do a lot of much more in-depth individual pieces. But I love the Story Brand framework. I love the Business Made Simple framework and using that because, again, it's the way that customers interact and they start to store your information. And, again, the airplane model is you'll see every part of it in the BMS system. But it's an operating system to grow any business. Any other questions? Any thoughts, ideas, feedbacks? Hopefully that was pretty simple. Hopefully you guys know those 5 parts. Going to buy some highlighters and see where we can make sure that there's red on the page. Start with a problem. If you do nothing else but become known for a problem or solving a problem, your business will grow. If you do nothing else, then ask people, click this button, buy now. Your business will grow. Again, there's a reason we painted that one green. But when you put all 5 of them together, it's a really simple process. It's for people who love sales, it's something that can help. For people who have never thought about sales but love cooking and making recipes, this is something that can take the sales engine or the sales process and make it really simple as well.
I would love like a handout with those 5 and like the QR code that I could take, so I'm like, oh, what was that? Or what did,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's part of the strategy or not, but I'm just saying that would be my wish list.
Yeah, I realized last night that I didn't print anything, and
We can get that.
Okay.
Situated.
I'm like such a big fan of the handout, but not
Yeah.
everyone learns that way.
no, and I agree. I tend to try and have something paper, something physical, kinesthetic touch, because audio, visual, tangible. Different people learn different ways. So,
Great presentation.
all right.